Guys, I wanted to shoot a quick hip opening video. I had a lot of questions recently about how to open your hips a little bit more, how to get a little bit more range in kicking. There's a couple things that I like to do that I work on often in terms of the exercises that I run to be able to do that. So for one is some static stretching that I do. When it comes to flexibility, there's really three types of stretching that you really want to work on. There's static stretching, there's passive stretching, and then there's dynamic stretching. The static stretching is where you're got a leg out and you're stretching forward and you're holding that pose for 30 seconds or so. Passive stretching is when you're not doing the stretching for yourself, somebody else is stretching for you, or you're utilizing some sort of tool in order to be able to do that, maybe a rope or a towel, and pulling your leg to you. That way you're not doing it just statically. So like partner stretches, if somebody's bringing your leg down, you're laying on your back, or they're helping you stretch in some way, that would be an example of passive stretching. And then the last one is dynamic stretching, which is what we do when we kick. So, and it could be straight leg swings, it could be side kicks, front kicks, roundhouse kicks, anything like that. So I'm going to talk about a number of different stretches that I do, that I do statically, and then I'm going to talk about some of the dynamic stretching that I do too. So first, one of the main ones that I do to work the insides of my legs is the frog stretch. So the frog stretch, nice and simple and easy. I get up on my hands and knees. I try to maintain my hips over my knees, and I push my knees out. And I'm just lowering down. And what I like to do is I like to kick my feet out, and helps me get a little bit lower to the ground. Once I get a certain width, I put my elbows down, and I just sit into that stretch, and I hold that stretch for 30 seconds or so. Once I get to the bottom of it, you'll feel a little bit of a burn, a little bit of a pain. It's okay. What you want to make sure you do is just not get to the point to where you are hurting so badly that you're tensing your muscles, because the idea of stretching is to actually relax the muscles so that way they learn that it's not going to break whenever it happens. So make sure that your legs stay relaxed. Don't tense them up as you're going to do that. Another one is what I call the pancake stretch. So I kick my legs out nice and wide, and I stretch forward as low as I can go, trying to make my body into a pancake. I try to get my head and body as low to the mat as I can, and again, I'm holding that for 20 to 30 seconds at the least. The longer is okay. If you do a minute, that's great, but you don't have to go that long. So lower my body down, try to get your elbows as a first goal, then try to stack your fists, get 2 fists down, maybe 1 fist, and eventually being able to stretch out and lay completely flat on the mat. Another one, just a simple one, is just your butterflies. So I like to try to get my knees as low as I can, utilizing my elbows if I need to, or my hands to push my knees to the mat. The biggest thing here is I don't recommend ballistic stretching, which is where we're stretching like this, where we used to do this. It's bad on the joints. I prefer static or passive stretching in that case. So again, I'm bringing my feet to me, pushing my knees down with either my hands or my elbows. And if I get to the point to where I can do all that, I start to lean forward and to feel that stretch inside that way too. Now, if you are like me and you start to feel a little bit of pain inside, one of the ways that we like to relieve that is by bringing my feet together, putting my knees inside my elbows, and pushing against my arms. This helps relieve some of that tension in there too. And again, I'll do the exact opposite. I'll put my elbows inside my knees and push against them that way as if they're fighting. And then bring my legs in front of me and bounce my legs. So those are a few really good static stretches that I like to do to help build some of that flexibility in there that way. Now I'm going to show you real quick what I like to do for some of my dynamic stretching through kicks and leg swings and things of that nature. Now another thing that I like to do is that dynamic kicking portion, or that dynamic stretching portion. And the first thing that I like to work on are just straight leg swings. So whether that is, for hip opening, it's not so much front and back, but it's to help loosen up that the fluid in the hips, loosen up my muscles. So first thing I do is get some hip rotations going, just to make sure that everything's nice and loose and everything's ready to go. Both ways, circle out, I like to throw straight up and down, straight leg swings, starting at a nice, middle high area, working my way a little bit higher as my legs get a little bit warmer, just to make sure that all of my muscles are ready to start working. And then getting as high as I can as we go. Throwing anywhere from 15 to 20 of those. And then again, working on both legs. My belt's really long, so I like to move it. Just a pro tip for you. That one's for free. Again, starting middle high. Middle high for you may be at your waist. That's okay. Whatever your middle high is, you do that one. Always know that I'm giving you tips that you need to apply to your own practice and your own training, because it's not everybody's going to be able to do it exactly the same way I can. And that's okay. You want to always train at your level and not worry about what everybody else's level is. Train at your level, you will get to the point where you will get to the part that you're aiming for. Now, if you're starting out and you're kicking here, someday you want to kick above your head, but you're 60 years old, that may be something that might not ever come for you. But that's okay. You do the best that you can do and work on your small goals, and eventually you will get to where you want to be. I did my front leg swings. Now I like to do my side leg swings. So I think of my body in a side kick position. I actually like to use a bag or some sort of visual cue to know how high I'm swinging my leg. So I'll put this bag here and I'll take a step in. So I'll take a step in, I'm gonna use my left leg and just lift my leg straight up. Nice and easy. Doesn't have to be fast. Just helping open that hip. It's okay if your foot kind of moves around. We're not looking for perfect side kick position form here. We're just loosening up that hip. Then I'll switch once I'm done. Again, 10, 15, switch, and do the other leg. I'm right leg dominant, so I can hold that side kick position and make this one look like that. That's just because I'm used to kicking with that leg. Once I've done that, and I feel a good, nice tenseness in here, I like to loosen it up a little bit. I just throw back leg round kicks on the bag. Just kind of making sure everything's loose still. Once I feel good, do some more hip rotations. Again, making sure everything's nice and loose in there. Next part I like to do are high held dynamic round kicks. So what I mean by that is this bag is about the same height as I am. I'm going to kick and try and hold my foot on the side as high as I can. So I'm going to aim for the very top of this bag. So I'll start with my right leg and I'll kick over and then I'll hold. I'm only going to hold for just a couple seconds. Hold my leg back. If you're a high kicker and you can kick over the bag, don't do that, because then you're not relying on your balance. It's not working on your balance. It's also not working on your stretching of your leg and strengthening of the muscles, because it's an isometric movement. So aim for just below the top of the bag and put your foot on the bag that way. Not in front. Again, there's no isometric movement there. The bag's holding me up. I'm just putting my foot on the side, holding it there for as long as I can, bringing it back down. That's another good dynamic motion that I like to do. Now, eventually, you want to work through using the bag as a tool to judge your height that you're throwing your foot. Again, I'm going to do a straight leg dynamic round kick, but I'm not going to bend kick bend this. I'm going to go up and over, kind of like a crescent kick, except for my hips are turned over. So it looks like this. Don't forget to pivot your foot using your hips too, or pivot your foot so that you can use your hips as well. I pivot my foot, bring it over. So I hope some of those techniques that I've just described to you help you in your training be able to open up your hips a little bit more, kick through, and get those kicks nice and high. The more flexibility you have in your hips, the faster you'll be at being able to throw techniques on target. So whether that's just one kick, two kicks, or sitting there and rocking out multiple kicks in whatever fashion. Work through those things, apply those, train with that, train with that, train with that. The more times you do it, the better you're gonna be at it. Make sure, as I always say, drink plenty of water. It will help everything when you're well hydrated. If you found this video useful, hit that like button, that thumbs up button down below. Share it with friends. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel too. And again, I'll see you on the next one, but keep training and hopefully you found some benefits out of this video.